natin ang multi-talented na actress, writer na si Minerva Vier. Kasama natin dito sa Kababayan Today. So Minerva, you've spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. When you graduated from the actor studio in New York City, you moved to LA right away, right?
I did. I actually moved after 9/11. I moved to LA because I really wanted to pursue, film as an actor. And it's been an interesting journey thus far.
Yeah, tell us about that experience. I remember how frustrating it was not being able to book because you would go in for Asian roles and they'd see you. And you don't look Asian. And for them, for Hollywood, there's a stereotype of what a Filipina looks like.
Exactly.
And this isn't it.
And this isn't it either.
Right.
We're more Latina than we are Filipino, looks-wise.
Right.
And when they ask, do you speak Spanish? A little bit. And then they're like,
yeah.
And I even saw you at a play where you played a Latina.
I did. One of the roles that I did for the stage was I was playing a Latin salsa dancer.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't booking. There are so many. The roles written for a Filipina are so few and far in between that when they are written for Filipinas, I don't even fit the mold, and from the way it looks, neither do you.
Yes, and well, my experience was that every time I get to play Filipina, I play a Filipina nurse. And it's always like, a small supporting role. I think it's better now, but there aren't really roles written specifically for Filipinas, especially Filipinos from the Philippines. There's no stories at all. That's why I decided to write my own stories, because I think they really need to be told.
Absolutely.
And also to say, hey, this is who we are, and so I think it's better now, but I'd like to play more than Filipina nurses.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah, so Hollywood, if you're listening, please. But also at the same time, you're also a writer, so you are able to create your own work. Talk to us about that journey, about being able to create your own material, because I'm sure it's challenging as well.
Yes, it is. But for me, it was like a need that I had to write my own material, because I wrote this play, Stateside Girls, which we're going to do an excerpt of later on.
Yes.
Because I wasn't playing roles. I wasn't booking roles that really represented who I was. And I felt the need to tell my own story. And my story is as an immigrant Filipina from the Philippines who moved here trying to have a career in the arts. And so I started writing more stories about that and more about the Filipino culture and presented it in plays,
Yeah, but is there a market for it here? Because I know there are a lot of Filipinas here, a lot of Filipinos. There are a lot of people that watch, right?
Yes, it's a big population. I guess Filipinos are one of the biggest, Asian populations in the United States.
Right.
I believe there is a market for it. I really, really do believe it. And it starts with people creating work, like you and me and people. We need to write and really,
bring ourselves together and organize and collaborate, don't you think?
Exactly. And there's a lot of talented, Filipino artists that work as cinematographers, as writers, as directors. I've met a whole lot of them. And I think we're starting to really bond and start to make our own work, and I'm very happy about that. And I hope that we really continue. Because
yeah, I think that all of us are pursuing our own thing, but how much more successful will we be as a community when we all are able to organize, get together, write our own stories, and support one another? I feel like there's still a little bit of a crab mentality going. That's something that our culture I don't want to say thrives on, but it's so innate in our culture. When somebody succeeds, it's like, oh, well, she booked it, I didn't book it, whatever, you know. But at the same time, I'm so happy when I hear that, you know, someone like Minerva's doing so well, because she's representing who we are to the rest of the world.
Exactly, and I think the support that we give each other are the ones that will lift us together
Right.
as a community, and we'll have, you know, we're so Filipinos, we speak English well, we're so acculturated in American culture, but we do have our own cultures.
Absolutely.
And our own languages and everything. And for, you know, the general market to notice it,
Yes.
we gotta keep on doing our
We got to
work.
keep on doing our own thing and our own work. Okay, so how does one go about pursuing a career in the performing arts? Because people think it's all glamorous, you know, but that's not always the case.
The first thing that I would say is be true to who you are and always follow that inner voice inside of you. You know, if you're an artist, if you're a poet or a writer, you have to express yourself in whatever form you choose. You know, like if you're a writer, you should write it down, whatever stories you have. And
It takes discipline, doesn't it, to write? Because you can't call yourself a writer unless you write, and that means writing every day.
exactly. What I did, what I told myself when I started, when I was back in college and I was majoring in screenwriting, it's hard to write. So I made sure that I promised myself to write at least 30 minutes a day. That's non-negotiable. I wrote 30 minutes a day, but usually it would last about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. But I made sure that I did that every day. And if you know, add that up, you'll have a finished work in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I write stories about my family, my mom would always make a comment, you know, that you're being too risque or you're being too, you know, and I'm like, Mom, because it's the truth. We have to talk about the truth.
Yes.
And we don't have to take ourselves seriously. We have to like explain who we are and then, you know, take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
I did this play Dog Eaters years ago.
Jessica Hagedorn, of course.
Yes, and there were a lot of criticism because of how the certain parts of Filipino culture wasn't represented in a, you know, beautiful light. And that's part of our history. That's part of the truth of who we are. And I feel like we need to embrace that as well as all the good things, you know, because that's who we are. We embrace the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. And it's owning up to our past, but being able to move forward, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so when we return, you will get an exclusive sneak peek at Minerva's work that she wrote and she starred in, called Stateside Girls. Dito lang po yan, exclusive on Kababayan Today. You won't want to miss this.